One of the most dangerous things happening right now is how normal everything still feels. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sutton's Days. If you're new here, my name is Lisa. We are all about pantry preparedness. And you walk into a grocery store, and yeah, okay, we know prices are higher. We've been dealing with this for a hot minute now. It's no news flash, okay? But you go and you pick up a pound of butter, and you go, wasn't this $1 less last week? Or you reach for the eggs or the meat or the coffee or cereal even. And it feels like every single week something else is going up. But even with all of that, the shelves still feel full. It still feels, normal, right? You can still find what you need. You may have to go to 2 stores instead of 1 to get all of it. And you've started saying, maybe I'll wait and get that next time. But for the most part, it still feels normal, so we don't have anything to worry about, right? And that is exactly why most people get caught off guard. Because food shortages and price spikes do not happen all at once. They don't happen overnight. You don't wake up one morning and the entire world doubled in price. It kind of feels like it sometimes, but that's not the way that it actually happens. It happens in stages. And if you don't understand the stages, it's very easy to look right now and think, well, maybe everybody's overreacting. But friends, this is how it happens. The problem starts far, far away from the grocery store. It starts months before you even see it. And by the time that the store shelves usually, reflect what's going on, it's usually too late to do much about it without paying a whole lot more. So today, I want to walk you through the process, not to scare you, not to make you panic, but because when you understand how the system works, you stop reacting at the last minute. You can see the pressure building if you're paying attention and you know what to look for before it arrives at your home. And that's the important part. That gives you time, that gives you options. Now, everything in our food system starts with just a few basic things. Just a few basic things, okay? It starts with fuel. It starts with fertilizer. It starts with seed, and it starts with labor. They're just 4 little old things, and that's it. Those are the building blocks. And when one of those becomes more expensive or harder to get, it affects everything that comes after it. A lot of people don't think about fertilizer because it feels far away from, everyday life. And it sounds like something that only farmers need, right? Yeah, I know. Only farmers. But fertilizer is one of the foundations of modern agriculture. And, you can have opinions about modern agriculture, but it's irrelevant at this point. This is just the way things work at this point. Changing that today will not improve tomorrow right now. So this is going to get impacted. Without it, farmers simply grow less. I'm not talking about your backyard gardener. I'm talking about literal farmers, Modern agriculture has big, big farms. And right now, fertilizer prices have been climbing because of energy costs, supply disruptions, and transportation problems. Let's not forget about global instability because that's where it starts. Fertilizer does not magically appear at a farm. There's no fertilizer fairy. I know this is going to break a lot of hearts. It has to be produced, it has to be shipped, it has to be delivered. And every one of those steps costs more money right now. So when fertilizer gets more expensive, farmers are forced to make some seriously hard decisions. And that's the part that most people miss. They're just not paying attention to because they're not close to anybody that does this. Farmers do not just wake up one morning and decide, I think I'm going to plant less for no reason at all. Yeah. They're making calculated decisions based on math. Nobody wakes up every day and gambles the way the farmers do. They have to make the calculated decisions. Can I afford to plant the entire field? Can I switch to a different crop? Can I use less fertilizer and hope for the best? Can I even afford to take the risk this year? And there are going to be some farmers that say no. These are not small decisions, and these are decisions that affect all of us. Now, for example, to make it easier, let's say Farmer Bob plants normally 1,000 acres of corn, okay? But this year, fertilizer is so expensive that he decides to only plant 800 acres. That's a fifth of, dropping a fifth off of what he normally does. Or maybe he plants the full amount, but he doesn't use fertilizer the way that he normally does. And so the yield is going to be significantly less on those, that full thing with no fertilizer. That means a smaller harvest. Maybe not in a way that anybody notices in April or May or June, even July possibly, okay? But by late summer into fall, that smaller harvest begins working its way through the system so that by the time fall hits, it's going to be showing up on our shelves. It's going to be showing up on the stores. And this is where most people lose the timeline completely. What happens today does not show up at the store tomorrow. There's a delay. The decisions being made at farms right now, literally right now, are decisions that will affect what will be available months from now. So when people say, but there's plenty of food in the store right now, they're looking at the wrong part of the timeline. They're looking at today's shelves instead of tomorrow's supply. And those are not the same thing. So in the last video, I mentioned how eggs and chicken and meat, are often the first things that start going up in price when this starts rolling into effect. So now let's follow the dominoes one step farther. Because when there's less corn, less grain, smaller harvests, it doesn't just affect the produce aisle. You're not just going to see it in the produce aisle or in the canned goods. It affects livestock significantly. Chickens, pigs, cattle, all of it. They all need feed. And that feed comes from the same crops that are affected by the fertilizer or lack of fertilizer, the fuel, and the lower yields. It's all impacted. So when grain costs more, feed costs more because it's practically one and the same. And when feed costs more, raising animals costs more. And when raising animals costs more, then what they are produced for costs more. And that's eggs, and chickens are pigs. They eat all day long, So the eggs are going to cost more. The chicken is going to cost more. The beef is going to cost more. The pork is going to cost more. It's all going to go up. You may see it later in cattle, even though we are experiencing phenomenal, pricing right now because it's the smallest herd count that we've ever had in 50 years. And so there is a problem with beef at the moment, but you'll see the prices affect the beef a little bit later because they take 2 years to grow out. It's not going to take 2 years to see the prices because they have to start getting the money in now so that they can feed the ones later, But it's going to impact all of it eventually. It just kind of ticks through the list at a different rate, but it gets there. And once it starts happening, families notice almost immediately because it affects them immediately. You may not be able to absorb an extra 50 cents for an item, but when literally everything that you're used to buying almost doubles in price, that is going to have you making some very difficult decisions, It's going to change how everybody shops. You're going to see families buying less. You're going to see switching brands or skipping things altogether and trying to stretch meals even farther. And if you've lived through any of the last, 6 years, then you already know what that feels like. Eventually, all of those decisions and all of those smaller harvests finally make their way to the grocery store. And this is when people finally pay attention. This is when they finally notice. And it's when you start seeing, higher prices and empty spots on the shelves and purchase limits on a lot more items, lower quality produce and smaller packages at the same price or higher. That happened when fertilizer got expensive months ago. That happened when farmers planted less or harvested less. that happened when feed costs went up. By the time people are standing in the store saying, why is this happening? The answer is already way back in the rearview mirror, like way back. Because preparedness is not about waiting until there is a problem. Preparedness is about understanding how the problem develops so that you can move before everyone else is forced to catch up. This is why I encourage you to stock up on the foods that you eat. Stock what you eat what you stock, rotate through it. It's very simple. If you don't eat beans today, but you stock up on a bunch of beans, you're not going to eat beans tomorrow. You may try to, but they're not going to be your go-to. And your go-to is going to be more expensive. And so you did not save anything and you did not prepare. Simply, if you understand where we are in the timeline, you realize that now is the easier, more affordable time to get prepared. So what would I be stocking up on right now if I were just starting? I would be getting my baking supplies, flour, or if you're into milling your own wheat berries, cornmeal, rice, pasta, oats, shelf-stable milk, freeze-dried dairy, eggs or an egg replacer, chicken, okay, canned chicken, canned meat of any kind, coffee, absolutely coffee, hello, and cooking oil. Pantry basics that your family uses every single week. If there's anything on that list that your family does not use every single week, don't buy it. But these are the things that tend to get more expensive first. And so that's what we want to focus on first. Once they do, they almost never go back down in price. And you know that. And please hear me on this. Do not panic. No, nobody has got time for panic, okay? Do not panic and do not go out and spend thousands of dollars building a pantry this weekend. It's not the way that it works. But you do just need to start. Buy a couple extra things when you go to the grocery store. Spend $5 or $10 extra when you go to the grocery store and buy an extra can or an extra jar or an extra bag of whatever it is that you're currently eating anyway. And slowly but surely, if you are consistent about this, before you know it, you will have built up a good stockpile. Rotate through it. The oldest stuff is the stuff that you eat first. What you buy, you put behind it. Just keep rotating through it. If something's on sale, you can actually put back a little bit more. It's a great feeling when you can do that. This is how you build security. One can, one jar, one bag, one shelf at a time. Most people are not going to see this until it becomes obvious. And because it's obvious to me, and it may be obvious to you, it is definitely not obvious to a majority of people. So, until the prices jump again, or until there are more limits on stuff, until the shelves really, really, really look different, you do not have to be most people. It really is overrated to be just like everybody else. You can be early, you can be steady, you can be consistent, you can prepare before the pressure arrives at your front door. That is preparedness, because awareness buys you time, and time gives you options that other people who are not paying attention will not have. So this week, do one thing, just one. Pick an area of your pantry and pick up one extra staple. Organize it. Identify your gaps. Make a plan, and then start acting on it. Start building a little more margin into your homes. Because little by little, that margin becomes peace of mind. Until next time, everybody, be safe. Keep stacking it to the rafters, my friends.